Okay, so good morning, every one of you. And it's the sharing session for Asia HRM again. As you all know that my name is Rita Choi. I'm the founder of Asia HRM. And Asia HRM is a human resources community whereby all the HR professionals in Asia to exchange and share ideas. And from time to time, we also organize sharing sessions to add value to each other. And today we have our sharing session on the most like a hot topic of the time. That is performance management, and believe that performance management should be done throughout the year. But as you all know that as HR professional, we all know that it will be a busiest time of the year because towards the end of the year, it's time for us to make a evaluation of the staff performance. And after that, we might come up with some of the suggestions on their pay increase and also bonus payout. So it seems to us that performance management and also what we call is the staff appraisal is very important, especially at this point in time for the HR professionals. That's why we have picked this topic of the day. And I'm so glad that I have some of the HR experts who are here today to share with us on what they think about performance management and also what they think, what is the best practice and so forth. So without further ado, I would like to pass the control to each of the speaker on the panel today, and they will answer. They will try to introduce themselves first. Then thereafter, I will come up with some questions for them to answers. Okay. So for those who have not spoken yet, can you put yourself on the mute mode so that we can have the Zoom meeting in a sort of the uninterrupted manner. Okay, for those who haven't spoken yet, please put yourself on the mute mode. Okay, when you are ready to speak, just unmute yourself. Okay, so I would like to start with Mr. Mahak. So can you just introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. Glad to be here today to join all of you in today's topic, which I will call an on-demand topic. Yeah, myself, I'm Mahendra from Malaysia. I am currently attached to Standard Chartered Bank as a senior manager of employee relations. Okay, and when performance management goes wrong or when employee falls short of their performance, this is where my role will become very important in looking at the poor performance part of it. Okay, so without much ado, I think I'll pass it on, and I'm very much interested and I can't wait to listen to the speaker for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So after that, we have Foster. Would you like to unmute yourself and then give us an introduction of yourself?
Hi. Good morning to all of you. You hear me well?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
So I'm in Hong Kong now, and thank you for letting me join this association, this community. I'm very pleased to join this sharing section. I have been working in the HR field for more than 15 years. I mainly serve in Hong Kong and Greater China, and sometimes in certain Asian countries like Singapore. I would say I'm a learning professional. Now I'm on my own. I'm having my own consulting firm, helping my clients to achieve better performance in organization, having a better team. And I also consider myself as an entrepreneur. Once again, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Foster. How about George? George, can you hear me? George? Yeah, can you just introduce yourself?
Very good morning to everyone. I'm George from Singapore. I have more than 20 years of HR experience comprising from 6 different sectors, from service line, constructions, oil and gas, manufacturing, travel and hospitality, and also the automotive. Combining of the service from not only for Singapore, but in Southeast Asia, Middle East, and Europe. That's all about simple introduction of myself. Thanks for inviting, Rita. I hope that's receive more new ideas and also share my tips if there is any query.
Thank you, George. How about Mr. Bamboo? Mr. Bamban, my friend, Mr. Bamban. What would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi Rita, hi, thank you. I cannot use my videos due to my bad internet connection here in Indonesia. Yes, I'm HR I'm working for HR for more than 20 years, and now I work in a paper industry in Indonesia. And yeah, I'm interested to know all of you and also get lesson about the performance management.
Okay, thank you, my friend. How about Miss Rini? Would you like to say something? I know that you want to be audience. Would you like to introduce yourself before we start? Miss Rini? Hello, Miss Rini?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, we are all ears.
Okay. So thank you, Rita, for the opportunity. My name is Rini, and I work as an HR for I think 10 years now. Recently, I just take a new role in a classification society. But I also manage, beside Indonesia, I also manage some part of Southeast Asia country. So this meeting is very interesting for me to hear the performance management and then the best practice that you guys already implemented in the respective countries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Rini. Okay, let's start with our first question. Okay, so what is the most effective performance management system that you have come across? I think for performance management system, we don't have to give a definition and so forth because we are all HR professionals. But what would be the most effective one that you have come across? Can anyone share with me on that? Like George? George, would you like to share?
I think there is not really that you have to use a good software or whether you have to use copy others reputed companies system to be in place into your company. End of the day, I think the most crucial thing will be the customizations. Based on my past experience, I'm traveling around the world. I think you have to look at different company background and different understanding. What are the things they can achieve? The two things that I'm looking at is what are the main targets and objective they want to achieve. Then they can be achieved, and how can we reward them according to their performance stage. That's the part of thing that I measure so far.
Okay. Thank you, George. I think it's right that we all begin with our ends in our mind, right? We just want to know what's the purpose of achieving it before we adopt some of the strategies. So how about the others? Do they any share on this? Anything to share on the most effective performance management that you have come across, especially for the system that you have deployed in your company? Have you ever come across with that, or you have any success stories to share with us? Mr. Bamban, do you have any success stories to share with us?
Yes, Rita. Yeah, before I joined this company, I've been in the US company, and we experienced that using one a German application which we call success factor is good, and for my my feeling is this is the best performance management system that we have. It is a success factor. Success factor is a SAP product, and using this success factor, we can use this globally, and also each country can also use for the same platform. And we tried already to use the local performance management application, but it's not applicable for global. So currently, it's my opinion that success factor is the best one. That's it.
Okay, okay, good, good. Thank you. After about Mr. Mahan, do you have any to share on the most effective management system that you have come across?
Yeah, thank you, Rita. Uh, I think before we even look at the uh, system that to support the performance management, the a very fundamental issue that I think all organizations should adopt is that, or rather to look into, is that to have a very fair performance management system. More often than not, whenever there is a performance assessment or performance evaluation being carried out, either half yearly or full year at the year end, a lot of time we do hear. I've been to many organizations, and one very consistent grievances that I'm hearing is that the assessment is being done unfairly. Okay, um, so we have to iron this out, and many of the time I have actually looked into it, and I have shared with many of my friends and colleagues that how we can ensure a very fair evaluation system, okay, or methodology. Now, we sometimes we hear people are saying, okay, or somebody is not performing up to the mark, why he is given a better performance as opposed to there's another more efficient and hardworking employees. All right, and then you have issue of one line manager is being very lenient and easy to give um, good evaluation, whereas on the other hand, there's another department where the manager is a very strict manager, and therefore his evaluation is stricter. So the employee of one department versus the other department, they do share these grievances, and they find it that to be unfair. So how do we actually ensure the entire organization uh, practice a very fair evaluation methodology? Okay. So one thing, in my opinion, is that we have to ensure that uh, very less human intervention in the process. Yeah, the human intervention that I'm referring to is the manager's discretion. Okay, manager's discretionary has to be limited. Okay, so that he if he were to be biased, then he do not, or he will not be able to manipulate much in terms of the performance assessment. So this is one thing that we have to look at very seriously, and we can use a good performance management system, either success factor or other system that is available, that where the manager can only if he were to favor someone, all right, we can't say that we have all managers as angels. We may have some managers who are biased, some who are who try to favor someone. Okay, so how much he can manipulate, it should be around 5 to 10% only. The rest the system should take care. All right, so when you set the performance target at the very onset, okay, everything has to be computerized, and uh, at the end of the day the achievement will have to be inputted and justified in the system, so that the manager will not be able to manipulate. I think the system, the best system is good, but the system should cater for this, should ensure that a very fair outcome when come to performance management. Because as all of us are aware, people does not leave organization. people leave because of another people. Okay, a lot of people left an organization because they are unhappy, they were unfairly assessed, they were unfairly given the performance rating. That's one of the reasons why they're leaving. So at the end of the day, we in the human resource department, we have to ensure that in everything we do, there must be a very fair outcome. So whatever we do, if we were to deploy a system to assist in our process, then we must ensure that how the system can ensure that this particular process can be carried out fairly without giving much room for manipulation. This is my take. Over to you, Rita.
Thank you. Very good sharing. So how about Foster? Do you think that, as Mr. Mahan just mentioned, that with less intervention, more things to be generated automatically, we really form a more unbiased system? Foster, what do you think?
Sure, I agree. I agree. In the HR system, I agree with Mohammed that only each manager could only manage very few people directly in detail, and for all the rest should be handled by the system. But just one question I would like to ask is, I find that especially for multinational companies, say a local organization got more than 1,000. As an HR, I received, if I trying to help, I was trying to help them, and I find that those junior people, they would come to seek help from me that my senior, my supervisor, did not give appropriate rating to them, and they would like to, in extreme case, they would like to file a complaint and then want HR to help them to just regrade them. Another similar case, they would just like to talk to us, telling us that this rating or this certain statement or system did not help them to get a right rating because it affects their promotion and of course the salary. So how will you address, because Standard Chartered is a very big organization, so I think you may experience some kind of situation like this.
Mm-hmm. So how would you address it, Mr. Mahan?
Well, that's why thank you, Foster, for the good question. I will not talk on behalf of Standard Chartered Bank. I will be basing on my experience for the last 20 years. I was also, my last position before I joined the bank, I was a regional HR manager for a manufacturing company. Well, back then we do not have much or many system provider that can use to support the performance management process. Yes, there is no one shoe fit for all solution to ensure a fair performance management outcome, but we have to look at the environment and the organization and the type of business and the process. Then we can draw out a good system. To go on to your question, where you have low-level employees coming and are seeking help from HR on how to seek your intervention to improve his rating, whereby he was unfairly rated. Well, I think to address that, if looking at a specific case, I always evaluate and find out to see whether there is a performance appraisal was unfairly carried out. Because at the end of every performance assessment, they sure will have some employee will come forward and file their grievances. Okay, but not all grievances are genuine. Some are because, like what you say, it will because they are worried about the bonus or the increment that they are going to get arising from this performance rating that they have been given. So because but if you investigate well, probably they are a non-performer. But because they want money, they don't want their bonus to be cut. They want to try luck and come forward and file their grievances, hoping that they will get something. We do see that kind of cases as well. But before we even embark into, say, mid-year assessment or year-end assessment, we always make sure that the line managers or people leaders or supervisors are engaged, and then we always reiterate to them that performance assessment has to be done fairly. There are certain processes involved, okay, self-assessment, and then conversation between the supervisor and the staff. There must be a two-way communication, all right, to evaluate. They must then look at whether if his performance can be quantified. There are some people the performance can be quantified. For example, production workers. Okay, the number of products they produce, the number of defects, right? So all that salespeople are driven by numbers. So we can see their achievement very easily. But the problem, the challenges will be for those people where their performance are unable to be quantified, especially those people who are working in the admin area, in the support function, all right? So it's very hard for us to quantify, but we can evaluate based on their performance, as in how much they've contributed, the output, the quality of output, the quantity of output. This is where the manager or the supervisor has to be more meticulous, because a lot of time the supervisors or the line manager, they will assess based on their memory, based on how much they can see, rather than looking at in detail on the quality and quantity of the output. So when they do that, and then when they are unhappy with certain stuff, they tend to give a lower rating for the staff. But so when we ask for justification, then they are unable to justify why they are giving them a low rating. And now this is not good, all right? And people want to know where is their shortcoming. If you are unable to show, okay, your gaps are here, and then how are you expecting them to improve? And you fail the system. The manager failed the performance system. So I hope I have answered your question, Foster.
Thank you, Mr. Mahan. Okay, so as we all know that one of the purposes of performance management is to open the dialogue between the employee and their supervisor. So, but a lot of times when it comes to performance review, line departments always pay lip service. So as Mr. Mahan mentioned earlier, that the system itself, if we want to get a fair rating, we should have less human intervention. But when it comes to, say, of open communication between both parties, as HR, how would we encourage the line department to do it so that it would, at the end of the day, serve the real purpose of performance review? So can I have George to give us some insights on that? George? George, are you here? But George, you have to unmute yourself first before we can hear you. George? Hi, George?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you, yes.
Okay, I would like to add on some of the points earlier discussed.
Yeah, but George, your voice is a bit soft. Can you speak louder?
Can you hear me?
Now it's better. Now it's better, yeah.
Okay, I would like to add on some of the points earlier I have discussed and highlight.
Okay.
First of all, number one is there are certain lacking points that we have to look at how to improve. Number one, as a HR manager, understand all the function very well. That's very important. What I'm trying to say that is, number one is, do you know how much the input from individual department? Early, Mr. Maha mentioned about it's not easy to measure people like from admin staff. That still can be measured because of to prevent of any discrepancy, or either they feel that unfair because none of the employee will say that they are not performed well. So end of the day, I think how you measure, example, accounting staff, they are really complete on time on the monthly closing, is considered a good performance or consider this average performance? To me, is closing account on time. This is a basics fundamentals role as accounting people have to be done. Okay, if you look at what is the key activity have to be achieved, then you have to convert them into more quantifying methods. Okay, that is one of the areas that you can achieve. Secondly is, I want to highlight again is, there are many HR managers are not really understand all the departmentals function. That resulted that you cannot give a very fairness rating. Okay, let me give you an example is whereby normally people will regard it's easily to calculate or tablets on the sales because based on volume. But manufacturing industry whereby you can tablet according to the outputs or whether it's a tonnage, weightage, or comparing using a historical data to guide a comparison as a benchmarking. That is part of the whole thing. The second thing, I think we always facing a lot of challenge. Why the system is not 100% work on because of you have to get the merchant buy-in. When merchant buy-in, then the whole thing will run very smoothly. And that is part of my sharing on this topic. Hello?
Yeah, we are listening.
Okay. Then from there, okay, how to ensure that the rating is given fair? Go back to the very basic fundamental issue whereby when you do the rating goal setting, does the documentation put very in place whereby how the person have to achieve according to what the company expectation. That's one of the things that we have to highlight. Comparing using sales volume to measure, that's much more easier than example, a salesperson have to achieve 1 million a month, then using dollar as a measurement. But for accounting or even for HR staff, example, one of the area in the past I'm using is whereby when I come to a company, this company, the recruitment process is very low. Okay, then as a particular certain function of the recruitments, they take very long time to recruiters. Then I use that as a benchmark to ensure that using a comparison chart for them to achieve. This is one of the area, okay? Very similar to like in the past, I'm helping one of the company to recruit a sales staff. This is one of the area I measure my HR staff. It's not easy to recruit a salesperson for automotive industry, whereby they do not have a basic salary. Okay, so you based on the historical chart for the past 5 years, their average recruitment of the salespeople less than 10. So this is one of the key KPI for measurement I give to my HR staff. If you can more than 10, then the point system will reward to you accordingly. Then from there, they understand. They will not come to you to compare or complain whereby the manager given me the rating is unfairness. Okay, this is the area I can share on.
Okay. So anybody like to share on this topic? Like Andy? Andy would like to share with us your insight. Andy?
Yeah, Rita, and morning.
Morning.
I'm listening very, very valuable input from all of you. And I just want to add my point of view regarding to performance management. And the first one is the company have to identify what is the most important thing that we have to measure on the next year. For example, in my company, we are learning from time to time to set up the goal for our organization. For example, last year we have 27 KPIs for chief level until the branch manager, and this year and the next year, 2020, we want to simplify the KPI from 27 to be only 11 until 12. That will it will be more focused for the chief level until the branch manager to focus their energy, their time, their resources to be more productively. And then the second one, I agree with Pak Bambang or and other friends that we have to utilize the correct system, the right system to administer the performance management. My company also using success factor. And then the last one is, I believe that we all use the four perspective in set up the KPI from the customer perspective, the financial perspective, customer perspective, and internal process and learning and growth. That's all from me, Rita.
Yeah. Thank you, Andy. Anybody would like to add on this topic? Rini?
Yes.
Mr. Pemben? Yeah.
Yes, Rita, I just want to add Pak Andi explanation because we are same in using the platform. We use success factor. Yeah, at beginning, as said by Pak Andi, that we have to set up the goal agreement first at beginning of the fiscal year. After that, we have to identify which employee may use this system, because in the big population, we cannot adopt this system for all people. For example, if we have more than 1,000, I don't think that all 1,000 employee are using system. Maybe only 200 people or population will use the computer and they can access the success factor. But the rest, the 800 will use the manual system, which is still rely on the paperwork. And then we have to set up the timing of where we have to evaluate or scoring our people. We set up with the certain period, and after goal evaluation, after goal agreement being agreed by both parties between management or company with the employees, then we have to set up where or when we conduct the employee dialogue and also goal evaluation. After that, we have to do the calibration as well, because we have to calibrate the result between among the management. But before that, the most important thing to avoid the bias evaluation, people are led to evaluate themselves. We call it the goal evaluation. People will evaluate themselves, and then as a manager, we will invite our employee to conduct one-on-one. Means we will talk together between our staff and discuss about the result that he or she has quantified. So there is a chance of communication session that we are possible to adjust. If they evaluate him or herself higher, then as a manager we can adjust due to some reason. This is what we do here in my company. That's my addition
Them for the
information.
sharing.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, there is a question from Rini, Miss Rini. What if we don't have past data to be able to benchmark the objectives on goal setting? So how would how HR should begin to set the objectives? Anybody can answer? Yeah, Mr. Mahan. Yeah.
Hi Rita. I think that is a good question. What I think Pa Andy had actually covered a bit on that. You see, when we talk about employee performance, okay, what does it translate to? Okay, where does it end up to? Okay, so why we want employee to perform, because we want that performance will eventually produce result for the organization. Okay, so when we look at that, then where does it begin? So every organization will have their yearly objective. Then they will have a long-term objective as well, probably 5 years plan. Okay, so what we should do is that we should always basing on the organization's objective. For example, this is 2019, and the organization say, okay, next year we want to move to $1 billion revenue, for example. Okay, so for to achieve $1 billion revenue, every department, what are their function? What will be their contribution in ensuring the organization achieve this 1 billion benchmark? Okay, so from there, then the sales will draw up their department objective, and then the marketing will draw up their department objective. Now everybody will have to submit their objective to the board or to the higher committee, management committee, telling them, look here, this is what we can contribute for the next 1 year in order for the organization to achieve this target. Okay, so we take for example HR. Okay, HR will say, okay, since you want to achieve $1 billion revenue, this is what we'll do. We will make sure that the attrition is controlled. We'll make sure the employees are engaged, are motivated. We will ensure that we will recruit more quality people. We will increase headcount by how many. We will support all the department on these particular areas. Okay, so once this is agreed at a higher level, and then that will trickle down to the section and to the individuals. So when come to HR, okay, the recruitment section, what do you need to do? These are your target. Okay, you need to recruit 100 additional 100 staff. You need to conduct exit interview. You need to do this. So when come to engagement team, okay, these are the things you need to do to motivate employees for them to increase their productivity and all that. So then come to other compensation benefit, for example. So it has to come from the top, and everything actually going towards one common goal, which is achieving the company's objective. This is my take.
Very, very good advice. Thanks, Mr. Mahak. So anybody would like to share on this topic before I move on to another question? Anybody?
I would like to share.
Yes, George, yes.
I think for those who do not have a historical data, there are few things that's area that you can explore. Number one is if you have to look at maybe you can sharing the all data industry concept. Similar your competitor or similar industry that's you can use as a benchmark. This is number one. Number two, I think regardless how good the company, they always have a certain area for improvement. And that is a part of thing that you can use as a part of the KPI setup. Or else, what are the problems arise that have been dragging for so long? Then that could be one of the things that have been in the top management's focus. Or else, maybe you can look at the complaints matter. or even the welfare factor.
Okay, thank you, George. Wow, a lot of take homes today. Thank you. So anybody would like to share on this topic before we move on? Anyone? No. Okay, so let's move on to another question. As I mentioned earlier, one of the purpose of performance review is to keep the dialogue between the employee and his or her supervisors. How can we foster this culture? You know, some of the line department just pay lip service. They just think that they don't have time to do it and so forth. How can we foster this kind of culture so that both parties are transparent and are always open up communication on their performance or any issues that they want to address to their supervisors? Can anybody share on this question? Like Foster, can I start with you? Foster?
I'm a lucky person, I would say, because my senior, the chief executive in Hong Kong at that time, or from now, I'm working with various clients. They like to make the organization a more open, and make the people around, the staff around more communicative. So I don't have very tough situation to handle because the top boss want people to do a better performance communication. So what I do or what I did in the past actually is just like one of the panelists talk about is how to simplify the existing performance management system. Because I find that most organizations, for those multinational bigger ones, they tend to have I would say, a very complicated and very comprehensive performance evaluation system. The one multinational company that I work with, it got 44 competence to evaluate each year. And they also did a quarterly evaluation. So when I was asked to help them, what I talked to the regional director there is we have to pick focus each quarter or half yearly, because we can't talk about 44 competence every time. And he agreed very much. So he handpicked together with the executive committee, handpicked just 2 or 3 priority, 2 or 3 competence, and they consider as a priority at that quarter or that half year. And then they would do some announcement or in-house circular, and also some lunchtime briefing to communicate with the staff why they consider the upcoming 3 months or 6 months this competence as crucial. I would say this is my best experience, because we can really address the upcoming economic situation in a more proactive way and in a more limber way. Otherwise, we just stick on the old system. It's difficult. I would say it's very difficult for the followers, for those managers to follow. That's what I want to talk about.
Thank you, Foster. Anybody would like to share on this question? Anybody would like to share before we move on? Just unmute yourself. You want to share? Anybody?
Yeah.
No? Yeah, Andy. Yes, please.
Yeah, I think this is our biggest problem for now, yeah, because Yeah, performance review is a time-consuming job, I think. That I still didn't find the best way to manage this. Yes, we have success factor to deliver a feedback from superior to their subordinates, but in fact, they rarely the performance issues on their daily activity. They just do it in the first year, in the mid-year, and and at the end of the year, just for the sake of performance management system review to calculate their final rating for the performance bonus consideration, but not for not to I mean to improve their productivity, to improve their performance. That's my biggest problem in my company. I need advice from all friends here how to better manage this.
Anybody can help resolving this issue for Andy? Any advice? Yes, George?
Okay. Andy, I think number one, you need the management to buy in. But look at your scenario and your sharing. I think the management, since that's regard this one as a part of the routine job. What can I share with you is whereby timing. Okay, how you do the timing is we always what we Chinese say, wait for the wind to blow. You can use a part of the thing to trigger the thing, or you waiting to be triggered. Hello, hello.
Yeah, go on. Go on.
Okay. So what I'm trying to say is, how, if let's say you don't want to wait to be triggered, you can trigger yourself by using certain to panic them. Example, when something happens in regards to the regulations, that is a thing that you can trigger. That is a strategy you can play. Or second thing that maybe link back to the performance management, you can show them the turnover is very high if you not focus on the performance management. Because reason is the past generation and the current generation a big different. If you're comparing the past generation, we're willing to stay longer in the company, unlike the younger generation will leave the company if the opportunity is not come to them or the reward is not fairness to them. You get what I mean? This is one of the things that I will share with you. You rather than waiting the thing to be just as a routine job, you can trigger by your own by using on certain factor. Okay, to make things your job easy and let them feel that to buy in your performance management concept.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, George. Anybody to share on this question from Andy besides the great tips from George? Anybody would like to give more tips to Andy? Anyone? If no, then there will be my last question. Okay. Throughout our session today, we discussed on a lot of success factors, right? Not the system itself, but success factors on how to make the management system great, okay, effective. So if I just want you to give me just one most important factor that you think will make your the system successful, what would that be? Just one. Okay, can I start with Max, Mr. Mahan? Can I start with you?
Yeah, for me, fairness, that's only one thing that I think you can deploy the best technology, the best system, the best processes, but if the whole evaluation, the whole exercise is not managed fairly, I think it defeats the purpose. So I think that for me is the most important element. If you want to deploy a system.
Thank you, thank you. How about Mr. Ben? What do you think?
Trust is the most important thing. We have to trust the system. We have to trust our employee. We have to trust ourselves. And the system it's better.
Okay, fair. Okay, thank you. How about George?
Yeah. Trust. How to buy them a trust? I would say the current very useful for me is whereby the performance management system always done end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
The rewards were only done once a year. Whether for existing staff or new recruits, how to buy their loyalty and how to buy their trust. They always look at how the management will deliver the promise. So that at the current stage, what I applied before is whereby we don't reward them in the year end or in the yearly basic. We reward them based on the different department function, whether it's by monthly or quarterly or half yearly. From there, then the productivity will be moved on because they receive the reward and result.
Yeah.
It is a two-way. What we expected the employer to be achieved and what the employer expected the reward will come in according to what we agree in the performance management system together.
I see. Agree. Okay. Thank you, George. How about Foster? What will be the most important success factor in making the system great?
Is the simplicity. Make everything simple. Because we are facing a large. Hello.
Yeah, we are hearing. Yeah, we are listening.
Okay. Yeah, just the simplicity because we are handling lots of staff having different experience and expectation. So I would say for all years, I've seen in many organizations, making things simple would be the crucial, the most important success factor from my point of view.
Okay, thank you. How about Andy? What do you think?
To add some points from our friends today, I would say that the alignment between the widely important goals from the organization with the KPI from the top until the lower level, it will be very, very important to be set up properly. Yeah.
Wow, very good advice. Alignment. Yeah, thank you. How about Miss Rini? Would you like to share on this, Miss Rini? Yes, no. Okay. How about from the others who just joined us, Ms. Celine or Miss Riza? Anything that you want to share, especially on this one tip, on the most important factor that makes the system great? Any more sharing on this? Okay, maybe they prefer to be a listener. Okay, so any other things to share on this topic before we conclude the session? Anybody would like to share more before we conclude it? Anybody? No. Okay. Okay. Thanks very much. I think through our discussion, we have a lot of the take home today. Thanks for the speakers today who are on a panel, who are givers, who are selfless in sharing their experience and knowledge with us. Actually, for me, I have learned a lot of new insights, which I will take on board in my company. And so once again, I thank all of you for attending or participating in this very meaningful session today. And I also hope that you will find it helpful and find a lot of good ideas so that you can also apply in your own company. And so this session has been recorded, and I will send this video clip to each of you so that you can also make it as a souvenir, or you can always listen to it so that you also learn something from our speakers today. So once again, thank you again, and have a very nice Saturday and enjoy your weekend. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Master
Thank
Rita.
you.